favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Anyone here for public comment?
Hello, hello, hello?
I think the fire chief is here to
See if we got any telephone calls.
participate in the discussion of the storm.
7:30.
What?
We're expecting 7:30, that's gonna be addressed.
All right, so why don't we go to the town administrator's report?
Thank you.
I don't have it.
That's in the, yes, the gold copy of the
Dumped it in
supplement.
like 3 hours ago. So
Yeah,
if you
just
go
showed
back in
up.
Dropbox.
Selectmen's correspondence.
You have the floor, Mr.
The what?
Belkonis.
I'm gonna just wait till everyone's got it up. Referring to my report, I'd like to just announce that Detective Anthony Molani was promoted to the rank of acting sergeant. This promotion fills a vacancy created with Michael Murphy being promoted to the chief of training, future police chief. I'm anticipating that there'll be one additional acting sergeant promotion, and lastly, one acting lieutenant position, which will be necessary to fill out the ranks, supervisory ranks in the department. With regard to the sergeant position, there were a total of 8 candidates. Each of those 8 candidates was in-house. They were interviewed with an interview panel consisting of the Human Resources Director, the Town Administrator, the Chief in Training, and the Lieutenant. All of the candidates presented themselves very well, and I wish to thank any and all of those individuals for participating in the interview process.
Any questions on this subject?
Number 2, an update on internal workings. I'm in the process of completing performance evaluations for all of the non-union employees, and that consists of department heads and some of their staff. The performance evaluations for my direct reports and staff will be completed by mid-December, and you have a copy of the schedule that I included as part of this. There are a total of 30 evaluations that need to be done, and that will include a review and setting of new goals for each department. I should note that as town administrator, I have 16 individual evaluations that I do, and additionally there are, and that includes 3 people that are typically reviewed by the finance director, and I will be doing those responsibilities. So it's quite extensive going forward, but it is something that we need to do, and we'll proceed with that in accordance with the schedule that's in your plan.
Comments, questions? Next.
I'm going to be integrating the various union contracts now that we have the majority of them have been settled with the language that was agreed in 2011 by the board and the various unions. And these final agreements, and I want to emphasize it's critical that we do this, will be presented to the union and the unions for their signature. My office will be assuming that responsibility.
So basically, what this means is when we head into the next round of negotiations, we will have one document.
One document that incorporates as many memorandums of agreement that may be out there. It's important that we do that.
So that's with no more cross-outs and add-ons? and-
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I assume we get that done. Probably collective bargaining,
No, that's what you
Groups will
just,
be-
I
yeah.
think you just said that, yeah.
gonna have to sign off on.
Yeah, everyone's gonna have to sign off, but you know, to me, it's a perfunctory measure, just to sign off what's already been agreed to.
Any other comments, questions?
The fiscal 2012 tax classification hearing, I'm recommending it be held on the 21st of November. We do need to advertise it, and as part of this process, the finance department staff is completing the tax rate recap sheet, which includes the new growth. The new growth has been approved by the Department of Revenue at $358,845, and that's about $34,000 higher than what we had estimated going into the October town meeting, so that's good news. The tax rate recap sheet overall is in good shape. I've looked at it with the assistant finance director, and I don't anticipate any obstacles in setting the tax rate this year. So we are ready to go, but for the year.
Greg, you've probably heard I mention I've invited at the request of the Board of Health to meet with us on the 21st.
Yes.
And I asked Karen to schedule that at 7:05.
We're scheduling the hearing at 8 p.m., so
Okay.
it'll allow any other
Yeah.
business to be done
Okay.
between now and then. Negotiations with the town of Andover are progressing on the new intermunicipal agreement for purchase of water. Selectman Prisco, Dick Carnevale, and Mark Clark from the DPW and I met yesterday with Andover officials, and I think we made substantial progress toward reaching an agreement. The next negotiation is scheduled for December 7th, and hopefully an agreement can be reached at that time and then presented to the board for ratification. So this time, we're moving along. Andover understands our positions, we understand their positions, and there are just a couple of things that need to be done before we're done. One additional note before I go to number 6 is I looked in my calendar and noted that council has scheduled the land auction on tax title properties. Those are the properties that the board voted to sell back in September, and that will be taking place on December 1st at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.?
Yes, so it will be advertised, and it will be run by our tax title attorney.
So is any board action required at that
None.
evening?
None. The council will be back in touch with you relative to any bids that are received, and that will be then,
That's a Thursday night.
that's correct.
And where is that gonna be held?
I'm gonna assume it's gonna be here, Jeffrey, but, somewhere in town hall.
That's just the opening of the bids.
Right. It's actually done as a public auction, so we encourage competition.
Public auction,
Public auction versus sealed bid.
that's new.
Yeah, we've done one auction since I've been here, and it's been taking actual verbal auction quotes. I can't speak about it prior to myself, but I know in my time it's been done through auction.
So some of those people who expressed an interest, if that date doesn't work for them for some reason or another, they're out of luck. Can someone, again, I'm not.
I don't know
clear with
I don't know the
process.
legal ramifications in terms
So
of
we
whether
come in and
someone
place a
can
bid
bid
for
or not
them,
bid.
or?
Right. And they submit in writing.
That's certainly gonna be advertised.
Yeah, and the beauty of the auction is it results in potentially the greatest
December what?
return. December 1st,
Is
7
it
p.m.
possible to send a letter to those folks that came here that
Sure.
claimed interest
Oh,
if we
sure.
have their information?
Sure, we'd be happy to do that.
I think it would be worth
I
it.
think that's important, yeah, the ones that expressed the interest, I know it'd be in the paper, but.
Yeah. Let's get in the paper.
The final item under my report this evening is under number 6. I wanted to note that I'll be attending a hearing in Boston before the State Labor Relations Commission, and it's on a charge of prohibited practice that was filed by the police union challenging the town moving to a new health insurance plan this past August. You'll recall that the change to health insurance carriers saved the town hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it was not challenged but for this Local 25. Town council will be representing the town before the Labor Relations Commission, and I did want to note that both council and I, particularly my office, has spent a lot of time in the past few days pulling together documents over the last year or so, having to justify why the town needed to move to a more cost-effective insurance carrier. So we have to restate the obvious. And it'll go to a hearing, and from that hearing will be a decision in terms of whether the thing goes forward for additional actions before the Labor Relations Board.
Very good. Anything else? So you've asked people who be here around 7:30 to
Yes.
discuss the storm.
Yes.
So what are the wishes of the board? You want to just?
Who else
let it
are you
run?
waiting for? I see
Police, fire,
DPW.
DPW.
Dick's here. He said, can we get Dick?
Sure.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can just roll right into it.
He might be looking for his glasses.
Oh, there are glasses in the bathroom. I don't know, somebody left them.
Are they on the top of his head?
Jeff's got his on.
I have mine on.
Dave's got his on. You're not old enough yet.
Oh, I have contacts in.
That's how I hide it.
Only for driving on dark, rainy nights like tonight.
Very small print, like the legal bills.
I was gonna suggest by a raise of hands, if they thought you were getting old, decided against it.
Probably a good idea, Bob. I already know the answer. While we're waiting, this proclamation for the one that I read, that we signed for
Yeah.
veterans, do you want that, Greg, or do you want us to bring that with us
You can
tomorrow?
bring it with you tomorrow.
Okay, and then,
I usually make a copy and bring that, and in years past, I don't know where that ends up as a document put away somewhere. I don't know what happens to it.
Be happy to make you a copy.
okay. And then,
Rubber stamps.
That's going in the
Represent that
plaque.
can I have that frame?
Yes. It's quite heavy.
Oh, no, I don't think so. May not be
By the way,
signed.
Greg, I've been having a discussion with Karen on the best way to do this. And I concluded that like a diploma folder or something would
She
be
showed it.
better.
I'll do it when I get home.
Yeah, you should probably put something behind.
Well, you have to cut it too, it doesn't fit, so I have a machine at home, a little cut machine.
So you take.
You got a machine?
I'll take care of it,
Okay.
I got it. Well, it's a little tool. I'm sure you have one.
Scissors?
No, it's a tool.
I know,
Cut.
I know.
High-tech. He takes his jackknife out of it.
I'm gonna pull my tractor out tonight and make sure I take off the edges, no problem.
Heard about your tractor?
Gentlemen, if you want, pull-up chairs, okay?
We don't bite, believe it or not.
I'm not fighting anybody tonight. I
I
figured
know you
you
do.
would.
It's your
but-
favorite seat.
That is my favorite seat.
So Little League pull-up chairs?
Yes.
Is this the hairstyle that is required for new chiefs?
Huh? You guys get on board, okay?
Oh, no.
Looks
Look at
good.
this.
It's natural.
I'd like to wait
I
until.
think we're gonna have Michael sit over on that side there to match the.
Too much glow, and people at home will not be able to see.
Let's put my sunglasses on.
Everybody's welcome to pull up a seat there.
Great. Yeah. Come on up. Join the party.
Come on down.
Great when we're waiting.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That might, let's see, that's what we got.
I never know if there was any. They look like a choir. Sing us a
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. Man.
Okay. First of all, I asked for this meeting with no intent of beating anybody up. The intent of this meeting is to try to get have the board get a picture of what went on. You guys are, out there doing your job, and everything that I've looked at appears you've done a great job. And to kind of have a discussion on, are there things we could be doing better from a communication point of view with the public, for dealing with things that, perhaps maybe took longer than they should have, and also to identify the things that we did right. The community had a fair amount of damage, and we were able to continue with school and get most of the major blockages on the roadways out of the way, and so on and so forth. So, kind of open it up for discussion. Greg, you have any thoughts on how to proceed?
I would like each department who's represented here to give a summary of activities within their department. They actually spent quite a bit of time going through, summarizing activities that took place. I think you'll find overall the theme is that despite the fact that there was substantial damage, the departments responded appropriately. I did extend an invite to the Reading Municipal Light Department to be here this evening. They could not attend this evening, however, they are available for a future meeting, and I would like them to be given the same opportunity.
Okay, that's fair.
I guess I've been elected to go first. So I will start off by saying that the total number of calls that we received in a 36-hour time frame were approximately 60, with probably 75 to 80% of those calls coming to us between the hours of 8 p.m. and midnight on Saturday night. I had a discussion with Captain Stats earlier in the day, and we chose to go to a Phase 1 adverse weather coverage at 6:30 that night before all the calls came. At about 8:16, we struck a box for manpower because we were receiving numerous phone calls at that time and not enough personnel to respond. 17 off-duty personnel responded, including myself, and every piece of apparatus that the town owns was out on the road. At at about approximately 1:30 in the morning, we release